Hello investors, welcome to Business Learnings. This is the third episode on cryptocurrencies, and in this video we'll be exploring smart contracts. Right? We as retail investors are trying to make sense of whether it is right to invest in cryptocurrencies or not. We already explored that a lot of institutional investors are already seeing cryptocurrencies as a hedge against inflation. That's why we explored the concept and the underlying technologies behind it to understand whether it solves some real world business problems, financial problems or not. Right, so we are on that path, and in this video we'll be talking about smart contracts. Now in the first video in the second video in fact we talked about how blockchain network works. Right, it's a decentralized ledger. How Bitcoin works: decentralized ledger of transactions, immutable, people cannot modify it but everyone can verify it. Ethereum just adds another functionality to the same. It just adds a piece of code. If you have ever done programming or if you have ever done coding in your life earlier, at school level, at college level, you would be familiar with if-else statements. If this happens, then do this. If that happens, then do that. Smart contracts are nothing but a bunch of if-else statements. Right? What happens, I'll give you an example, and this will make it very clear how it creates value. Right? Let's say Paytm is a company and it is coming up with an IPO, but there are only 10 slots, as in only 10 investors can get the IPO allotment. Let's say 50 people end up applying for it. Not all will get the IPOs, right? These 10 people will be randomly selected from the group of 50 people. Right? Who will do this random selection? The linking time registrar, who is the registrar for IPO, will do this randomization, pick the 10 people, and all these 50 people would have applied for IPOs. Their 15,000 rupees would have been blocked in their bank accounts, and after the IPO allotment is finalized, the 10 people, their amounts will get deducted. The 40 people, their amounts will be unblocked. They will be refunded. Right? This is currently this is what that happens currently. Right? But in this system there is a flaw. We have to rely on the NPCI, we have to rely on the UPI system, we have to rely on the registrar, we have to rely on 3-4 external parties. Although most of them are government regulated, most of them are government backed, but we cannot say for sure. We cannot always trust for sure. That's the overall idea of decentralization, that we do not want a third party on which we want to trust on. And that's why the concept of smart networks here could be leveraged. For instance, let's say on the blockchain I upload a piece of code that says that deduct 15,000 rupees from the accounts of these 50 people, and these 50 people are they have their digital signatures on it. Amounts are deducted, plus the code that says that run a randomizer that randomly selects 10 people out of these 50 people, and then for the remaining 40 people just return the amount. For the 10 people, deduct the amount and transfer it to Paytm. So Paytm and these 50 participants are on there on the blockchain network, on the Ethereum network, and they are participating in this particular smart contract. Right? Money from these 50 people gets deducted. The code is run, randomizer is run, the 10 people are selected. Money is deducted from the people who get the allotment and transferred to Paytm. The rest 40 people, they do not get the shares, and that's why they just get their money back. For the 10 people who get the allotment, they receive the shares of Paytm. So since this is a distributed public ledger, everyone can verify that it has been done correctly. Everyone can review that piece of code and understand that, well, this is what they wanted, this is correct, this is something that we can trust. And there is no external system, there is no linking time registrar, there is no external system, as in there is no NPCI or UPI, there are no banks So a very decentralized way of regulating this entire process of IPOs, right? And if we exclude these third parties, the transaction time increases. Currently we see the allotment and credit of shares, everything, this takes a lot of time, which can further be reduced. So this is example of a real world problem that Ethereum network can solve, and it was a very basic example. There could be more examples in insurance industries, when to pay someone when someone claims for insurance money, for health insurance or life insurance, whether to pay that person or not. Ultimately you have to depend upon the insurance provider. But if the entire thing is regulated by a piece of code, then everyone knows that whatever this code says is to be followed. If we do not have, if we do not rely on the piece of code, if we end up relying on the lines of a contract, there could be multiple meanings of that lines of contract, and lawyers are there which can derive the meaning in different contexts and completely take away yours, whatever is rightfully yours. So in that way, a decentralized network makes a lot of sense. A piece of trusting a piece of code which has exact statements and not those fuzzy lines of contractual agreements makes a lot of sense, right? So this is the advantage. There are numerous applications. I hope I was able to explain it to some extent in terms of the investors, in terms of the viewers of this video, interests of the viewers of this video, right? Now in the next video probably I'll try to cover NFT. So we can already see the kind of real world problems that Ethereum is capable to solve. Ethereum and any other blockchain network which has smart contracts built into it is able to solve for, right? So make sure that you watch, you subscribe to the channel, and thanks a lot for watching this far. See you in the next video. Bye.